and a very warm welcome to this special presentation. I'm Neha Bhardwaj-Alter and we are at the iconic Pullela Gopichand Badminton Academy in Hyderabad, where champions are made, from Saina Nehwal to Sindhu to Kidambi Srikanth to Satvik Sairaj, Ranki Reddy, Chirag Shetty. This is where badminton's legacy continues to grow. So we're going to go behind the scenes, see what goes into creating these world-class champions. Come on, let's check out the academy. Okay, we've seen champions on the podium. This is where we see how champions are made. To give us an exclusive tour of the Pullela Gopichand Badminton Academy, I have the man with me. Gopi, thank you so much for taking the time out. I've had a glimpse of the academy so far. It's, I'll go and visit other parts of the academy, but this is where the action happens. I've got to begin by asking you, how has this evolved from the time you started to what we are seeing now at the academy? How has it changed?
Well, for me, it's been a journey where I wasn't sure I would be playing sport for a career. But as time went by and I started to play, you realize that the basic challenges we have to face in our country, whether it's badminton courts being available, whether it's the shuttles, coaches, gym, recovery, food, stay. These are the fundamental things. I'm not even talking big age sports science of nutrition, physiology, psychology, biomechanics. I'm just talking basic things. So when I won the All England, I started before that, when I started traveling abroad, I realized that there's such a lacuna in terms of infra also, which is needed. So that's the basic thought initially, that if a player is interested to play, I should give them the basics, whether it's shuttles, courts, without any interaction, coaching, players, food, training, recovery, these fundamental things. And half your job could be done. And that's what we started off with, this idea in around 2003, and this place came up in 2007. And I think we've been very fortunate to have people who've supported me in this journey, and that's how this whole process is.
Now, when it started, and these are stories that I've heard, that your wife was cooking food for the kids who were staying here. Your mom's been such an integral part of the academy. She takes care of everything. Even today, I was being told that she knows exactly where what stuff is. She'll go check on the food. She'll go check on where all the plants are. I mean, everything is taken care of in that sense. I have to though ask you, for the children, for the kids who come here, what has that been like for them? I mean, what is it that they look out for today in a badminton academy, and how are they satisfied with all the facilities?
Well, I think one of the greatest things is if you take me apart as a coach also, I think the biggest success of the academy, and this is the unit of the academy, the family of the academy, is that I can confidently say that right from 2007 till date, we've never had a session where we had to stop because of lack of courts or shuttles or any of those things. I think that's very important, because when you're looking at sport, you can't have your Ramzans and Diwalis and Christmas and your Saturday, Sundays and become a player. You have to have access to infrastructure whenever you want it. And that's what we've been able to bring in here. If you have the interest to play, if you have the desire to actually achieve it, we have the infrastructure which is available. And thankfully, with the coaches and the support staff, whether it's physios, trainers, the entire ecosystem, we've been able to get there. So from a player's perspective, the resources are there. It's up to you how much of heart you have, how much of push you can do, and the results are obviously evident in the last few years.
100%. Let's talk about the champions that have been created here. From Saina Nehwal, P Sindhu, Srikanth, Satvik, Chirag, list goes on.
Pranoy, Kashyap, Guru, Sai, Saurav, Samir, Gayatri, Trisha, Priyanshu. I don't want to miss any. Tanisha, Aishwini. So we've got a whole lot of them, Satvik, Chirag. So obviously Um, I've been very fortunate, I think. We've created an ecosystem which bred success after success. And it's been a great journey for me to see Indian badminton rise, because when I won the All England, my belief was if I can win, many of my own people can win. And with that belief, I had started off, and with that trust, people had supported me, and very happy that these results have come.
I think you're being very modest. I've said this to you before as well. You said that you're lucky that you found these kids. You worked with them tirelessly. I know that you come in first into the academy. I don't know if you still follow that routine, but you were the first person to be here and the last person to leave. And that's what has made sure that this academy has produced these champions. But that's my next question. You know, there are a set of players that you mentor and guide because you see something in them. I want to ask you, how do you see that? It can't just be skill. There has to be something more that you see in a child and you say, you know what, I think she or he has it to make it all the way. I want you to tell me what that is, because a lot of people would want to know. What is it that you look for when you see a gifted child, but at the same time, you know, somebody who's hardworking? What is it for you?
I think it's exciting to see a talent, but to be honest, it's not a rare commodity. You have a lot of people with talent. But really, when you look at people who have a smile on their face, we started sessions only because of COVID, we dropped those sessions, but we would be here at 4:15 in the morning. You want those kids who have a smile on their face in the morning who come up and say, boss, I'm ready for it. You want a smile on their face and ready to challenge when they've lost the previous night and then show up for training again in the morning. You have them with an injury come back and say, I'm not going to come back again and prove it. So I think that ability to show up with enthusiasm day in and day, and this is not like once, twice, this is like for 10 years, 15 years. The ability to show up, the ability to not give up on the face of defeat, I think those are qualities in addition to talent which are very, very important. So when you have that kind of an attitude and you're not ready to give up, is when results have to come.
Okay, I have to ask you this now. How strict are you as a coach? You come across as this very calm person, but you know, when these kids are in their rooms after they've stopped training, is there a strict routine that they have to follow? Because you just told me that you're a purist. So I know that you don't believe in a lot of riff-raffs around. If you want to be a champion, you need to put in your 100%. So how are you as a coach?
Okay, I've kind of in some sense changed myself over time, because back in the day when we started off, I was the coach, physio trainer, masseur, everything rolled into one kind of a guy, parent. But as time goes by, now we've got trainers, we've got coaches, we've got physios, we've got mental trainers. So everybody has a job. So for me, there were times when I would wake them up in the morning. I would give them a wake-up call. I would check on them if they're sleeping in the night. I would raid their rooms to check if there are any biscuits and chocolates around. So that was there was also a time for a long period of time. But say maybe in the last few years, we've got, thanks to a lot of support, we have a lot of people taking care of these parts. So I don't do that as much. But since you're here in for the next few days, I think it's important you check on whether I'm a soft coach or a hard coach and what my players think of me, because I can think whatever of me. I can think I'm very gentle, but if that's conveyed to the players as the same, because I get my work done. That much I can say.
Well, that's being a good coach, as long as you get your work done. But yes, I'll ask the players how you are as a coach, whether you're strict or whether you're, you know, pretty lenient. Now, the joke around the sporting ecosystem in India goes that, can we find more clones of Gopi? Because what you've done, not many have been able to do. And I know that that's, you know, that focus, that single-minded focus and belief that this is what I need to do, and you've done it for so many years. But what will it take for anyone to even think of starting this kind of an ecosystem right here in Hyderabad for anybody else who wants to do this?
It's going to be challenging to find somebody, because even for me, if I had to start this journey over again, would I still do it the way it is a challenge, because some of the things I've done have been very crazy. And
What are some of the things you
I mortgaged my house. I spent hours, 3 hours sleeping at night. I would do a bunch of risks which are unheard of. We conducted tournaments which I didn't have the bandwidth to. We conducted 2004. We conducted Asian Championships, to challenge Asian Championships in 2005, 6, 7, 8. We did the India Open 2009. We did the World Championship, just because my players were here and I wanted a tournament next level. And then we risked everything to get those tournaments. We would go Friday of a tournament, midway through there was not a rupee in the bank, 1.25 crore to be raised. So the kind of pressures which I've taken, I've been kind of slept on in the car for so many nights. And so that's kind of some of the things I've done was crazy. But I think one thing which has been there is the family support which has been there. I think that's been huge, because I don't have to pay my mom or my wife or my dad to work here, or neither do I, because I've been supported by Indian Oil. So I think some of those things have really been helpful, because for years we didn't have to take money from the source. So that was important. Then second thing is, and I think the most important thing for me is, I owned the players. I felt that these were my players. I think if you're able to create that bond between the coach and the player, and the ecosystem behaves in a way in which the coach and the player are bonded together because of love and responsibility, I think it's a home run. We can create many more. At the moment, with the disbursement of decisions being taken by a lot of people, because now suddenly, thanks to Modi ji, the sport has become big in general across the country, and many sports have become. So what it's done is actually it's brought a lot more people in, and the coach-led, athlete-centric model, which is important, is being disturbed. So you need to get that back. You need to get the Gurukul kind of a mindset, where a Dronacharya is owning the Arjuna, where a Krishna is owning the Arjuna. That kind of a mindset is needed, where the coach is actually saying, okay, I have the owners and I will bring all of them together. We need to bring that system back, and it's very critical for us to move to the next stage to produce results.
That's very well said. And you don't see that. You're right, that, Gurukul, which started here, it's a tradition that we should be proud of, that we need to get back to. Now I have to ask you, from all the champions, who was the somewhat difficult one to handle in terms of temperament, in terms of, because that's another thing with coaching, right? Each player is built differently, their mindset is different. So who was the one person you thought, and you thought that has kind of troubled you a little bit, but in the end it all turned out well?
No, I could say it about many of them.
Okay.
But to be honest, I think the balance is what would be important. Either somebody is trying too hard, or somebody is sometimes trying too less.
Okay.
And somebody is very critical of themselves when they've lost. Somebody needs to be critical more when they lose. I think that balance is what is critical. And for me, I think to have athletes over time, I think for me, whether to be critical, whether to be encouraging, whether to be saying things which are very friendly and say it's okay to lose, or to be critical on their loss, I think these are the challenges which I have had. But to be honest, and I'm not saying this like, I just have had a great bond with all of my athletes, and I've never had a difficult one, because somehow the connection with all of them has been very strong, even the youngest of them. So the only time when I feel very sad is when I have to say, boss, it's time for you to give up and move on and do something else. That's the more critical part. But otherwise, I think I've had a great relationship, and I've never felt that this player is difficult. But the only thing which I always feel is I wish you can see the potential which I can see. That hurts me. And when I actually talk of it in that language, then I think I would have a lot of players whom I would say haven't done justice to their potential. You could be a top player, but you still haven't done enough justice.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. Okay, I have to wrap this up, but we're standing right in the middle of where all this action happens. You were saying this, that this is all that I've ever known. This is my life. When you're standing here right now, after so many years, having produced the champions, getting more and more kids involved, making badminton what it is, putting it on the world map, what does it feel like, Gopi, in this academy that you've created? It's almost like where dreams are made.
When I started playing and when I was number one in the country at the senior level, India didn't go to the Commonwealth Games because we were not in the top 6 nations of Commonwealth Games. And today, we can safely say whether it's Saina or Sindhu, or whether it's Srikanth, or whether it's Pranay and Satvik and Chirag, we've produced world number ones. We have Thomas Cup champions. Last year's women were the PSC champions, Badminton Asia champions. So all I think of is we've shown that in 30 years, it is possible to go from not qualifying for Commonwealth Games to becoming the best badminton nation in the world and win all of those events. It's to us as a system and as a country to do better than that, because the potential is there. It's probably there in many other fields and areas. It's important to find the right ecosystem which can bring us those results.
Very well said. You're doing all you can in this, creating this for India. Thank you so much for that. We're so proud to have you as one of our coaches here who's done this for India. Thank you once again, and thank you for talking to us.